I used to work the night shift as a bartender at a popular downtown club called Crimson. It wasn't fancy, but it was always packed. Loud music, drunk people, and an unspoken promise of chaos. The kind of place where people disappeared into the shadows and showed up again 3 hours later like nothing happened. I was 24 when I started, fresh out of college and trying to make rent while figuring out what the hell to do with my degree. The job paid decently and came with free drinks, so I didn't complain. The staff was tight-knit, people who partied hard and worked harder. Except for one guy. His name was Leon. He was a new bouncer, hired about a month after me. Quiet guy, built like a wall, always dressed in the same black tactical jacket, even in the middle of summer. Most of us joked that he looked more like a SWAT member than a club bouncer. But what stood out the most were his eyes. He didn't blink. Ever. I noticed it on my first night working with him. I was behind the bar and I glanced over to see him staring into the crowd. Not scanning, not watching for trouble, just staring, like he was seeing something no one else could. I timed him out of curiosity. 3 minutes passed. No blink. At first I figured it was a weird quirk, but it started to get uncomfortable. One night I saw him watching a girl dance alone near the DJ booth. She was clearly out of it, maybe drunk, maybe more. And Leon just stood there unblinking, his face blank. I went over to her, asked if she was okay. She didn't respond, just stumbled off toward the restroom. I glanced back at Leon. He was still watching. No movement, no blink. Things got stranger after that. People began reporting items missing. Phones, wallets, even a pair of shoes. It wasn't unheard of, but it started happening almost every night. Then 2 regulars, guys I saw every weekend, stopped showing up. We figured they just found a new hangout. Until a week later, a homeless man claimed he found a phone in the alley behind the club, still ringing. One night, around 2 a.m. after closing, I stayed behind to help clean. The place was empty, lights low, music off. Leon was doing his usual walk around, and I was dumping bottles when I heard a loud bang from the back storage hallway. I froze. That area should have been locked. I grabbed the bar flashlight and walked over. The hallway was pitch dark, but I saw something, or someone, standing halfway down the hall. Just a silhouette, tall, broad shoulders, motionless. I called out, thinking maybe it was Leon. No answer. I stepped forward slowly, flashlight aimed. The figure didn't move. As I got closer, my stomach dropped. It was Leon, standing in the dark, in front of a storage door. His eyes wide open, staring at me like he didn't recognize me. "Leon," I said. He didn't answer. "Hey, are you okay?" He tilted his head slightly. Then, in a voice completely unlike his usual deep monotone, he whispered, "They don't leave. They don't leave the club." I backed away. I didn't wait to ask questions. I grabbed my bag, clocked out, and practically sprinted to my car. I didn't go back the next night. I texted my manager and told him I was quitting. He never responded. Weeks passed. I never heard from anyone at Crimson again. No texts, no calls. The club's Instagram stopped updating. One day I finally drove past it, and the windows were covered in black tarp. A for-lease sign hung crooked in the window. Out of curiosity, I Googled the club. Nothing. It was like it vanished overnight. Even creepier, I couldn't find a single picture of Leon. Not in the staff photos, not in old videos. It was like he never existed, but I know what I saw, and I know I'm not the only one who didn't blink that night. I never thought working in a hospital would lead me into something that felt more like a psychological horror film than a job. But I'll never forget my last few weeks at Ridgemont General Hospital, not because of the trauma cases or the long overnight shifts, but because of a nurse named Angela. It started small, almost subtle. I worked in the ER on the graveyard shift. I'm talking 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., where you get drunks, crash victims, the occasional overdose. That was routine. What wasn't routine was Angela. Angela joined our night crew about 3 months before I left. Mid-40s, soft-spoken, barely smiled, always looked tired. Pale skin, thin black hair, always tied back in a tight bun. There wasn't anything obviously wrong with her, but something about her presence made everyone a little uncomfortable. I noticed it the first time I passed her in the hallway. She just stared. Not like, "Oh, hey, a new coworker" stare, but like she was studying me. I chalked it up to her being new, socially awkward maybe, but then it escalated. She'd always find reasons to be near me. I'd be restocking supplies in the back closet. She'd be there. I'd go grab something from the break room fridge. She'd be standing by the door. It was always quiet. No small talk, no interaction, just watching like she was waiting for something. Then came the night I dozed off in the on-call room. I'd been pulling doubles back to back, barely sleeping. At around 3 a.m., I closed my eyes for what I thought would be 5 minutes. I woke up 2 hours later, blanket pulled over me, lights turned off, a chair pulled up next to the bed. And the worst part? The break room door didn't lock. Anyone could walk in. I went straight to the security office and asked to check the hallway cams. I had to be subtle about it, so I told them I misplaced my ID badge and wanted to check if someone picked it up. We pulled up the footage from outside the on-call room. There she was, Angela, just standing at the door for nearly 20 minutes. She never knocked, never opened it, just stood there, like she was listening. From that point on, I started noticing weird things happening around my station. One night, I returned from a break and found a sticky note on my desk that said, "Sleep looks good on you." No one claimed to have seen who left it. I asked my charge nurse. She shrugged. I asked the nurses who sat nearby. None of them saw a thing. That same night, I noticed a strong scent of lavender in the hallway near the on-call room. Lavender. Angela wore a lavender-scented hand cream every night, so I confronted her. As politely as I could, I said, "Hey, I've been noticing some weird things. Have you been near the on-call room when I'm off duty?" She just smiled, tilted her head and said, "You look so peaceful. Hospitals are where the soul is closest to sleep, don't you think?" What do you even say to that? The next night, things got worse. Around 4 a.m., I was returning from helping in pediatrics when I heard faint whispering near the on-call room again. But when I turned the corner, the hallway was empty. Still, I checked inside. The chair was there again, pulled up next to the bed. Same position, and resting on the pillow, a single bobby pin. Angela wore those. Always the same kind, matte black with a little gold tip. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't even sit down. I felt hunted. That following week, I started requesting day shifts. I didn't care how tired I was. I just wanted to be anywhere but near her during the dead of night. HR pushed back, but after I explained I was having trouble adapting to the sleep schedule, they gave me a temporary switch. On my first day's shift, I decided to get in early and grab my gear from the night locker. When I opened it, I nearly dropped everything. Inside was a Polaroid photo. Me, asleep in the on-call room, blanket half off, my mouth slightly open. That photo was never taken by me. No one else would have had access, except someone who knew my shift. Someone who had been watching. I filed a report with HR immediately. Security searched her locker. Nothing. No photo equipment, no notes, no admission. Angela denied everything, said she barely even knew me. The worst part? HR let her off with a warning, said there wasn't enough evidence. So I quit, the same day. A week later, I got a text from a nurse friend still working the night shift. It said, "Angela asked if you were coming back. She said she misses watching you rest." I blocked the number. I moved to another city. But to this day, I sleep with the light on, and I check every room before I close my eyes. Because once you've been watched like that, when you weren't supposed to be seen, you never feel alone again. I was part of a small construction crew working in a remote area of Alaska, helping build a high-end hunting lodge for a rich client. The nearest town was over an hour away by snowmobile, and there were only 6 of us staying in portable cabins on site. We were surrounded by nothing but dense forest, frozen lakes, and silence, the kind that hums in your ears at night. I'd been doing this kind of work for years, grueling shifts, long hours, isolated locations. But that winter was different, and it had everything to do with one guy, Clay. Clay came into the crew mid-season, sent in as a replacement for a guy who broke his leg. He was quiet, older than the rest of us, probably mid-50s, and had this unblinking stare that made your skin crawl. No socializing, no small talk, just straight work and those eyes. At first, nobody cared. You mind your business out there. But things started getting weird within the first 2 weeks. Tools would go missing, then reappear in strange places. One time I found my thermos screwed tight with nails inside. Another guy, Daryl, caught Clay just standing in the dark behind his cabin, staring through the window. Daryl tried to confront him, but Clay acted like he didn't understand what the big deal was. "Didn't mean nothing by it," he muttered. "Just checking on the night." The foreman, Rick, didn't take it seriously. "He's just off," he said. "Some of these guys spend too long alone." But it kept escalating. One night, I heard footsteps crunching around my cabin. I looked out but saw nothing. Then I found muddy boot prints leading up to my door, circling it over and over, like someone had paced there for hours. I knew it had to be Clay. I decided to sleep with a hammer under my pillow after that. A few days later, Daryl went missing. No one panicked at first. We figured he'd gone off to cool down after a shouting match with Rick. But when he didn't show up by sundown, we started searching. We found his boot wedged in the ice near the lake. No body, just the boot and drag marks into the woods. Rick radioed in for help. We were snowed in, so a chopper couldn't get to us for 48 hours. We were told to stay put and keep working. Typical protocol out there. But nobody could focus. Every sound set us off. Clay, though, he acted like nothing happened, even whistled while sawing lumber. I tried talking to him, asked if he'd seen anything. He just stared at me and said, "Some people can't handle the silence. It gets in their heads." That night I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing something tapping at the cabin walls. I thought I was imagining it until I got up and saw a note pressed against the outside window. It was written in grease pencil. It said, "You're next." I freaked and ran to Rick's cabin. He didn't believe me at first, but then I showed him the note. He locked his doors, posted someone on watch. We were all rattled. The chopper finally arrived 2 days later, and Rick made the call to pull the crew out until the state troopers could investigate. Before we left, I saw Clay standing at the tree line, just watching us load up. The weird part? He didn't leave with us. He refused to go, said he liked it quiet. When the troopers came, they searched the area, found drag marks and broken branches leading deep into the forest, but they never found Daryl's body. Clay was gone too. Vanished. To this day, I don't know what happened to Daryl or how Clay managed to disappear in the snow without a trace. But I still dream about those eyes, about the silence out there, and the way it wraps around you like a noose if you let it. Never working remote again. Not after that.